Howdy, my peeps. I'm welcoming you into my mealtime discussion. I'm eating a little bit of stuffed clams because I could eat that back end out of a skunk right now because I'm so damn hungry. But let's get on about the topic, and the topic is podcast. You and I and many people are very enamored with podcasts, topics that are on podcasts, and how to present a podcast well. I know I'm not at that level, that stage yet where I can present one well, but trust me, I do have a vision and a goal for podcasts. So, a couple things I want to share with you guys that I thought was really interesting. I discovered recently, I'd say in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Let me click on this link. There is for whatever reason, I got there's a guy, Brian at podcastguest.com. And basically his platform is podcastguest.com. And what they do is they suggest to you, I want to say weekly, what platforms you can try and communicate with, where they would have you up as a guest on their podcast. So it could really give you a lot of exposure. I thought that concept was brilliant. And I looked at the last 2 weeks. I've probably been getting this for 4, 5, 6 weeks. I don't remember how many weeks it is, but I did look at the last couple weeks, and nothing fit exactly in my genre. And part of that is because I'm kind of like, my whole life's in limbo. So I don't feel comfortable, but some of these channels that are hosting podcasts that want guests, they might talk about finance, they might talk about health, could talk about like yoga, they could talk about so many different categories. I think that's really cool to know. That's another resource for people for their channels to grow if they participate in a podcast. Like, I have not participated with this, so I cannot vouch one way or the other, but I think it's really cool. It's called podcast.com. So that's something you may want to look out, for. And I believe it was last night, I watched a podcast that really, really made me feel like proud for the person sponsoring the podcast. And I'm going to tell you what that person did. I want to say it's one of two platforms. This person a couple weeks ago posted just basically a verbal post, talking that he was going to start a podcast, and he wanted, people to obviously participate in that as guests and stuff like that. And apparently he had like a tremendous response. I want to say it was either on a Facebook community page for San Carlos Park, or it was on the Nextdoor application for San Carlos Park. But I kind of commented to him. I was like, I'd like to, watch a little more and learn more. But when I did comment, now I think about it, I think it was probably the Facebook community page. But I said, I'll be following you. I wish you luck and stuff like that. Well, I watched his first podcast last night, and I thought he hit a grand slam. And the reason I'm going to tell you this is it's called the Twisted and Tested podcast. And this gentleman, I'm begging and imploring you to watch from the beginning to the end, because the climax of the introductory video is just tremendous. Basically, this person is a really cool person, displaying honesty and facts about his life. Basically, kind of like growing up as a thug and how he changed his life. And now all these people want to talk on his platform, his podcast. So many people open up their lives. And I think he had previously said something like he had probably like at least a dozen pre-recorded podcasts ready for release. And his significant other, a nice lady named Emma, said, whoa, 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 you're doing this all wrong. And I appreciated how he absorbed her information and intellect, because it was spot on. What she did was 100% correct. So what she said to him was, basically, you can't ask all these 1 dozen people or whatever the number was, 12 or 15 people to come on here and share their story when you haven't even shared your own story on your own platform. So his episode number 1 last night was like tremendous. It really was tremendous. And I was so enamored with his or his girlfriend or his wife, whatever she is, editing skills that, I get jealous at times. But what you're going to hear, if you go watch that Tested and Twisted, or it's either or Twisted and Tested or Tested and Twisted or something like that podcast, you're going to see a gentleman just speaking from the heart. And I love that. That is so, but he's going to speak from the heart very raw. There is a little bit of, there's some profanity at times, but put on your big boy pants or shorts, shirts, skirts, whatever you want, got to do. But it's very, very informative. And he had me so engaged, because he did such a good job at engaging the audience, which is us, the viewers. That's what podcasts are supposed to do. And I was just blown away when you listen to his harsh background. How could this individual have so much knowledge on how to perform a podcast in such a rough growing up environment? It blew my mind. So with that being said, I want you to, take those couple thoughts in mind. Get a chance, follow that channel. Like I said, it's either Tested and Twisted podcast or I think it's Tested and Twisted podcast. The first episode was really good. There is some profanity because he's speaking from the heart, his upbringing, and he is what he is. So he's not sugarcoating anything. That's why I think that is such an excellent podcast, because it's genuine. So I encourage, at Tish Ross with no judgment here with Tish Ross, to perhaps bring him up on, her platform and talk about his struggles, because his struggles would fit right in line with her platform. But I also would probably ask him to tone it down with some of the dialogue, certain words. But anyway, so that's I love podcasts. I'm trying to do a lot of research. So the little bit of information I've shared with you tonight, whenever I decide to release this, I thought, it might be helpful for people. You may be able to be on the horizon looking at different podcast opportunities through that podcast.com or whatever it is. But anyway, folks, I appreciate you watching, and hey, just do your best, just do your best. YouTube can be a fun, great place, and especially when you're honest, just be honest and just tell your story.